The top cop of Seattle has a lot to juggle. Yesterday, I shared a portion of Chief Sean Barnes' interview, and one of the things he responded to was sources claiming that recruitment standards have been lowered to get more candidates in. He refuted that, saying it was completely untrue. Today, in part 2 of my interview with the chief, here's what he said about officer morale. Morale is something that officers have talked about over the years, and they say it's low. Do you feel that it's still low? Is it getting better? What is your perspective on that?
I feel that morale is getting better. When talking to police officers who've talked to other police officers, because sometimes they tell the chief, you know, the nice, pleasant things, but talking to officers who've talked to other officers, they say morale is getting better. And I think that can be attributed to two things. Number one is consistency. They want to see consistency in leadership. They want to see consistency in the people they report to so that they can set the expectations, and they set those expectations, and then the officers will follow through on that. And then the other thing is empowerment. We have to empower officers to go back out, do the work, get out of your cars, talk to people, and do the work of policing. We recently completed a training on crime and disorder. Some of the things that our officers may have forgotten about, like things like the open air drug use, laws that we have on the books. And so that training begins with a short video from me, thanking them for their work and their dedication and for being here, and then empowering them that, hey, we have a community that expects we're going to address crime and disorder, and I expect that you're going to do it, and we trust you to do the job well and to follow your training, and then we give them the training.
We also asked about any new strategies to mitigate chronic crime hotspots, for example, like the Chinatown International District and stretches of Aurora Avenue. Barnes says there is a 90-day pilot program that just got underway. Take a listen.
So one of the things that we're doing right now is we have identified those, as you stated, hot spots in each precinct. In one of our precincts, I can't tell you which one, we now have 2 dedicated officers to that specific hot spot. And what we're trying to measure is whether or not there's going to be some change in the atmosphere. Do people notice, or crime and disorder reduce? Do we reduce the amount of time that officers respond to non-emergency calls for service? Are we seeing a reduction in crime? And are we seeing more proactive policing in that area by having 2 officers dedicated to that particular hot spot? We're going to measure that. That's a 90-day pilot that's going on right now. At the end of the 90 days, we'll measure it, we'll make some tweaks and some suggestions, and my plan is to expand that to all precincts if we can show some efficacy in doing that.
Another topic we discussed is the fact that Seattle police is on the verge of being fully released from the consent decree after 13 years. Now, SPD has been under federal oversight, David, as you know, for things like use of force and de-escalation tactics. Recently, the DOJ applauding SPD for making necessary reforms, and they actually recommended that SPD be released from the consent decree.
So does the chief have an estimate on how much longer it's going to go?
He believes, he didn't have an exact date, but he believes sometime in the fall. So we'll see if that comes out. We'll definitely be following that for sure. But he also said that, look, it's, you know, not to his credit, he's only been on the job for 8 months. He says it's the work of the officers, you know, the men and women on that force.
It seems like every time they get close, something horrific happens that puts a black eye on SPD. Hopefully this time things will go smoothly and we can get out from underneath the consent decree.
Yeah, it's a lot to talk about, yeah, but we'll see.